Hey everyone, John Bose here. I'm doing another exciting interview. Before we get started, I gotta tell you, I have a new puppy. She may act up and she may bark. She's sitting in her kennel and she wants to be on the interview. But right now, I have a great guest here who has been super active in 2016. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Mandy Metzger from Norwell.
Now, Mandy, we start by talking about how we got involved. How did you get involved?
So I first got involved, I was very apolitical up until about 2008 when I got interested and inspired by Hillary Clinton. And I did very little back then. I mean, just
Well, you
was inspired
supported
by
her.
her. And, yeah. And then I remember when she did lose and we supporters were disappointed. And then I just remember being so impressed with her response and the way she handled the loss and said, I want all you supporters to now turn around and fight for Obama harder than you fought for me. And I was so impressed with that. And we did and pulled ourselves up and fought for him. And then look where we ended up. And that really was a positive.
So we had 8 years of an experience that was plus, and then we come to 2016. I don't like to say it. Were you involved with that campaign?
So then I got much more involved.
If I remember, you were super involved. You were doing all sorts of stuff.
I loved phone banking. That was something that was easy to do from home. And they had a really fun interactive phone bank. You could pick to call people in Alaska or North Carolina. So I had fun making thousands of phone calls. And donating, and then I got a little bit involved, like helping Maggie Hassan's campaign. We drove up, a bunch of us went up a bunch of times to knock on doors in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, always the political playground for Massachusetts.
And that was fun, and getting to know the local candidates as well.
Now, you also showed up to the phone bank in Boston and the one in the South Shore?
Yeah, there was a lovely young man, I can't remember his name now, who ran the Hillary campaign up in Boston. And just to shake it up to be different, sometimes we'd drive up to Boston. I'd meet my son and we'd make phone calls for Hillary up in Boston.
And then it happened. Election night 2016, not happy.
Disaster.
Took some time off, then you started getting involved again.
Yeah, so then I felt that we needed to get all in. I was so happy and grateful for the groups like South Shore Action, and grateful to Dawn and Ellen for organizing that. I got very involved with Norwell Democrat.
Norwell Democrat, and you were doing Tony the postcard guy, right?
So, yep. So somehow, fortunately, just happened to get on my radar from Facebook. Tony the Democrat, a longtime activist from Georgia, apparently was doing some phone banking for John Ossoff.
Yeah.
And this was March of 2017. And he said, I've got these addresses and I've got some spare postcards. Does anybody want to join me in helping to get out the vote for this great candidate? And that was the beginning of Postcards to Voters.
Right, and it's kind of grown. It's huge now, right?
It really, it's become national. We have volunteers from every state in the U.S. We're on our 145th campaign right now. There's always a campaign or two or three.
Something going on somewhere.
Special elections. And we've got a pretty impressive success rate. It's completely free to the campaign,
right?
Which they still have a hard time believing. And we just write handwritten, friendly, always positive, nothing negative, just election reminders, because unfortunately turnout is so low for many of these special elections.
So you got involved locally with the Democratic Town Committee, and that's Kevin Jones. Shout out to Kevin Jones.
Oh, so grateful. Thank you, Kevin. Respect.
But you also got involved with a few activist groups locally. One was, you mentioned South Shore Action, and that's Helen Whalen, is that right?
Ellen Whalen. And Dawn Cybor, yep.
And
fantastic.
Ellen's the chair of Hinghamstown Committee, right?
I believe so.
And that is a pretty good-sized group.
So South Shore Action has been phenomenal. They've had enormous turnouts from people, not just in Hingham, but we were having monthly meetings in the beginning at the Hingham Library, and subgroups from social media activism to environment to healthcare. Meg and her work with immigration, and it continues to this day. And they've got
social issues, political issues. Now, it's not affiliated with any party, but it is a progressive organization.
It is nonpartisan, that is true, and it is an action group for progressive issues.
In our region, we live in case I haven't heard me say it before, a very conservative region. So it was very impressive, is very impressive how many people they get to come out to those events.
I love the way you describe us, the cranberry corner.
There's a lot of us progressives, but we're still outnumbered. Now, then we go into, that takes you pretty much through the summer. Then we go into, we're starting to get candidates. Did you back any local candidates?
Yeah, so we were so blessed to have such wonderful candidates step up and run for office. Unfortunately, the outcome was not what we hoped for.
We are a very conservative district.
We worked very hard. It's still is shocking to me, actually, just profoundly shocking on a regular basis that that our state rep of the Tri-Town, Norwell, Hanover, and Rockland, that our state rep voted against red flag laws. He voted...
He is a conservative.
He's a Tea Party conservative. He voted against, there was a bill to ban gay conversion therapy.
Right.
Which, of course, passed overwhelmingly.
Completely insane. Don't get me started on that.
And he voted against the ban. So I feel quite devastated that our wonderful candidate...
Well, your wonderful candidate was got into it late because of the situation, was... basically outspent because she couldn't get the runway that she needed, and then the Republicans just unloaded tons of negative stuff. But at the same time, for a first-time candidate, she was really excellent.
Oh, she's fantastic, and I'm so grateful for her for running. What a great experience.
I'm hoping she runs again. Hopefully we have a full run and we can actually do some good stuff. Now, on our state rep level, Katie McBride was endorsed by President Obama.
So Katie McBride, so grateful. That was such an exciting campaign to work with, too. I met so many amazing activists across the towns. So she ran for our state senate of Plymouth, Norfolk, and really had an amazing excitement. She had President Obama's EPA head come out and speak and gave an amazing lecture on women in politics and STEM. She did get endorsed by President Obama.
One of, I think, 100 maybe?
I don't remember. But it was so exciting.
That was ridiculously close. I mean, I think it might have been one of the closest races we've ever had for that Senate seats in modern time. Once again, conservative district. But you also worked on a few of the statewide because of the coordinated, right? You were doing Warren and Maura Healey.
When we were knocking on doors with a coordinated campaign, yes, we were getting out the vote for Maura Healey, Elizabeth Warren, Katie McBride, and also we had such a wonderful candidate with John Bradley running for DA.
DA, yeah.
And we've learned so much. I had no idea what a difference a DA can make, and John just had such a wonderful platform with concepts of bail reform that we're learning so much about.
I did not realize how messed up our bail reform system was. And when he brought up the fact that it's basically making a debtor's prison, I did not realize how bad it actually was. And if you want to see how bad our Plymouth County Sheriff is, just type in Plymouth County Sheriff and you're going to see a bunch of stuff that is not exactly type of thing you want your sheriff to be doing. All these races were great. They were close,